Hey, everybody, welcome back to this live episode of Think Business. Looking forward to talking with Carolyn Bellinson. Carolyn, how are you? Always good to see you.
Great.
Carolyn, I'm looking forward to talking to you today about Brilliant Detroit, which is something that you co-founded, a nonprofit organization in the city of Detroit with your husband, Jim. It's a nonprofit in Detroit which delivers early childhood learning to low access, underprivileged communities in the city of Detroit. I always love talking about giving back. I always love talking about, to people who are giving back. I love talking to people who have an idea and build something. And I love talking about things in the city of Detroit. And so this was created, I know, to provide a new approach to childhood development by building kind of kid success neighborhoods where families are school ready, healthy, and stable. And I just want to kind of dive in really before we talk and go deeper into how you're supporting families with kids 0 to 8 through homes in the middle of, high-need neighborhoods. But I really want to go back and talk about just the idea, because I think a lot of times people have ideas, but they don't execute. They don't take action, right? If there's one common theme in every business book I've ever read, it's that everybody can do something, but very few take action. And so just kind of talk about how the idea came about and then how it grew and how you took action to execute on building this.
Okay, well, let me first say that we also have a third co-founder who is our executive director. Her name is Cindy Eggleton.
Okay.
She's the main reason that this all came to fruition. But
all right.
Let me just step back and answer your question, which is, how did this come to fruition? And I live with a dreamer. So my husband, Jim, he wakes up every morning and he cannot wait to tell me about his grand idea that he dreamt up last night. And he has learned over the years, we've been together for 25 years, to not talk to me before 10 o'clock. So most of his ideas, he tells somebody else. And I would say that out of 100 ideas, maybe 0.5 are good.
Okay.
This happened to be that 0.5.
Yeah.
We grew up in the city of Detroit. We've been watching its deterioration for years. We've been going downtown for forever. And he was driving around one day and he was looking at all of the empty houses and empty neighborhoods and the empty schoolyards. And let me step back. Before that, he was on the board of the Jewish Fund, and he was put in charge of researching whether or not the Jewish Fund was going to get into the early childhood development space.
Mm-hmm.
He started doing all of this research, and he, was finding like the numbers were horrible. 60% of kids in the city of Detroit are living in poverty. That's 3 times the national average.
Yeah.
Maybe 15% of the kids are ready to start kindergarten, and 15% are, reading at a grade level by 3rd grade. And so he kept coming home and telling me all of these statistics. And then one day he was driving around the city and he was looking at all of these empty houses, and he thought, we should buy a house in a neighborhood and renovate it and put in all of these programs that are already developed. They're already being offered in the city.
Yeah.
The problem is that people can't get to them or they don't know about them. And so it's really that last mile that he sort of jumped onto and thought we should bring the programs into the houses. While he was thinking about this and while we were discussing it, he met Cindy Eggleton, who happened to be presenting to the Jewish Fund on early childhood development. She was at the time working for United Way. The 3 of us got together. We met for about a year and a half, once a week or once every 2 weeks, and talked about what could be. And we just decided to take this, I was going to say step, it's more like a dive.
Yeah.
We just did it because we had to. We had to.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, about kind of the had to, right? I mean, there's, it sounds like this was, you talk about the 100 ideas and the 0.5, right, that are ultimately in full alignment with with you, with all three of you, and your purpose, right? And so I think that's the ultimate goal of everybody. Like, how can I do something that is in alignment with me, within purpose, and has universal meaning and depth to it. Mm-hmm. And so when you start off like this and you're talking about, how do we make people aware of this? How do we let people know? How do you, as part of the equation, how are you, getting awareness out so people recognize that this is here? Because there's so many things out there. It's hard to get noticed today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we have not had a difficult time with that. The first 2 years of this enterprise, Jim and I didn't want to fundraise because we weren't sure it was going to work. So we were supporting this on our own before we asked anybody for a dollar. Once we realized that we were onto something, we started fundraising. We had annual events, and we have over 90 partners in this work. Mm. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not coming up with, the programming to teach kids how to read. We're not coming up with the programming on nutritional classes for our families and our caretakers. We're not coming up with the programming for anger management classes that we offer. So we are partnering with agencies all over the city, and a lot of national agencies. And through those partnerships and just word of mouth, I think, we do a lot of work with the city of Detroit. We do a lot of work with the public school system in Detroit. And we are just getting recognized all over the place. And we, in fact, have a wait list for, our next 4 neighborhoods that we're going to be into. And so I think if you prove that your product is needed and you prove its efficacy, you don't really have to do much marketing.
Yeah. No, I love that.
The only caveat to that is fundraising.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that. So, you're not reinventing the wheel. We're going to get into more of kind of what Brilliant Detroit does and how you just, saturate yourself into the neighborhoods and the homes. But, when you talk about, you're not reinventing the wheel, it sounds like you're also kind of a facilitator to bring access to all of these great resources that are already there. So I love that, because to me, I think a lot of times people don't have the access or don't have the time for the access or don't even know where to get the access. So by being the quarterback and bringing all of it together and facilitating so people can grow, I love that whole concept of just bringing all of these, groups together. Any thought? Yeah.
I want to just add on to that, which is, like I said, there are lots of organizations that are providing these services all over the city and all over the country. One of the other issues is not just access, knowing that they're there or not being able to get to them. The other issue is that all of these services need to be coordinated. Mm-hmm. And it's not just an early childhood, development thing. It's also making sure that the families are being supported so that they can get their kid into this program. And it's making sure that when they come home, they have the tools and the knowledge to perpetuate that in the home. So it's not just when the child is going to this program where they're learning how to read. It's also once they get home, they're reading with their parents. Yeah. So all of our services are coordinated. We create a path for all of our families. And it's centered around not just the child, but also the caretakers, because those are the child's first teachers, and you cannot forget about them.
Yeah.
And that's part of the issue of like going to a program versus creating your own pathway and having the support that you can carry that out.
Yeah. I love that. All right, good. I want to dive in and talk about really what you're doing, real life examples and stories of the difference that I know that you're making with everything. So I think people learn really well through stories. So can you just kind of tell a story of kind of what you're doing and what a kind of a week in the life, a day in the life of Brilliant Detroit is?
Well, those are two different questions. So let me just I'll give you a real live example. I'm not going to use names because we're going to be protecting privacy here. But we have a young woman who has 5 kids. She started having kids early, she was a teenager, and she herself has some mental health issues. She herself came from a home where, she didn't get the kind of support that is necessary for, the full development of a person. But she's a remarkable woman. And she knew that she wanted to do better by her kids. And she knew that she couldn't do that alone. She needed help. And she started coming to one of our houses. She didn't live in the neighborhood where this house was, but there isn't a Brilliant Detroit house in her neighborhood. So she heard about this from a friend. She kept coming to our house and she kept, saying to us, we need a house in this neighborhood. We need a house in this neighborhood. And she just was persistent. And so we started working with her, and we now are putting a house in her neighborhood. But she was bringing her kids every day. Every day. And she's so dedicated. And now she is sort of, one of the parents sort of educators that we use in the house to make to bring people into the Brilliant Detroit home. So we go knocking door to door, and we like to do that using people who are living in the neighborhood or who are familiar with the neighborhood. So she's one of the people who are reaching out and making sure that families in her neighborhood know that Brilliant Detroit is there and what we provide. And she's just an incredible person. And she now has the support that she needs to make sure that her kids are ready to start kindergarten and are reading at grade level by 3rd grade.
I love it. I love that story for so many reasons. One, about the good that you all are doing, and what a road that was opened up to her and her children because of, just an idea that then, affects her, but also that, and I think a lot of organizations and a lot of companies get this wrong, and you've got it right, which is your people are your best ambassadors. The people that you touch are the people that are better than any marketing plan you can possibly have. And so that's how so many people talk about going viral in this today, but that's how you organically go viral, which is touching one heart and one human being at a time. And that's a magical formula.
This is a truly grassroots organization. Let me just share one more story with you.
Yeah, please.
Our neighbor, our house in Brightmoor, there is a woman, and this is the beauty of, what Brilliant Detroit does for the community and the neighborhood that it sits in. So there's a woman, she's grew up in Brightmoor. She's a grandma many times over. And, the neighborhood has been blighted for a long time, and it is reviving itself over the last decade. There's a lot of investment being poured into Brightmoor. But she doesn't have any children in the neighborhood anymore. She doesn't have any grandchildren there. But she is basically the grandma of the Brilliant Detroit house in the Brightmoor neighborhood. And she teaches our kids how to garden. So she's our gardener. And, these houses are not only bringing programs and services to the families and kids that live in the neighborhood, but it's basically stabilizing the neighborhood and bringing people together, which is the most sort of, I think, overlooked aspect of Brilliant Detroit, but so crucial. For the revival of our city.
Well, the one of the buzzwords right now in just business is creating community. I mean, community's been around for a long time, but it's very much talked about right now. But what you're talking about, the grassroots community effort, the community feel, that has a huge ripple effect. Yeah. It's great what you're doing, Carolyn, you and the whole team. And so, as you said, as you grow the organization into new neighborhoods, what does that look like over the next, 12, 18 months?
Yes. So our plan is, we've done a lot of studies, and we have come to the understanding that we cannot make population change until we reach 24 neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So each of our houses is offer services to about 125 families. And we need to grow to 24 houses in order to make population change in the city, which means that kids will be ready to start kindergarten and they will be reading at grade level by third grade, and that families have the supports that they need. They have, knowledge of what it takes to live a healthy lifestyle, and that they have all of the services that they need in order to make sure that their kids are healthy and well.
Yeah.
And that they are healthy and well. So we are hoping to get to 24 houses by 2024.
So I have a question. So 24 houses, and each house touches 125 homes or families. Okay. So that's 3,000 families. Mm-hmm. Right. What a ripple effect. I'm just curious how you got, I always love quantifying things. Mm-hmm. How did you get to that number? As that would kind of be the, maybe the tipping point of where you can make the next level of change. You're already making change on a daily basis.
Right. So we did a bunch of what they call heat map studies, mm-hmm. With some partners in Detroit who do this stuff all the time. And so they know exactly where, kids 0 to 8 live, which neighborhoods are the most dense, where they go to school. And there's a pattern that they sort of map out for us. And in order to really shift, this cycle of poverty, we need to reach, 3,000, at least 3,000 families. Yeah. And so we did a heat mapping of where those neighborhoods are. And so we have an idea of, where we need to be in order to make sure that occurs. Yeah. So there's science behind this, and technology behind it. And there's mostly love behind it.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Let's talk about you and the love you have just for giving back and being involved. I think, you and I met, I sit on the board of Hebrew Free Loan. You were the president, and, incredibly involved, and the, how as long as I've known you, you've always been somebody who is just all about giving back, and not just with, showing up to a committee meeting, but being the president, being on executive boards. Really being in the trenches of involvement. And so, today, I think more than ever, especially as we sit here, Carolyn, on February 9, 2021, still in COVID, hopefully, moving past it relatively soon. I think people got more connected to their own personal values over the last 12 months. They realized what was important. And I think at least a lot of the people I talk to, one of those things is giving back more and doing things that are more in alignment with what they're all about, their personal values. And so what advice would you give someone who wants to get more involved, as far as what those steps could be and how to kind of fit it into your world? You have a family, you have a business. How do you balance it all? What guidance would you give somebody?
So, this isn't for everybody, but the way that I operate, I'm more action oriented rather than sort of planning out what's the perfect step. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what the perfect step was. I just knew that as my kids got older and they needed me less, I needed to do something that was fulfilling. Yeah. And so I just started opening doors. I didn't, think about it too much. Like, is this the perfect door? I opened a lot of doors that weren't perfect. And, I started taking steps and opening doors and just getting involved until I found, I guess, what you call my purpose. Yeah. And I'm not a believer in that there's only one purpose for you. I just think that you need to listen to the universe. And one of my favorite sayings.
Was that a sign from the universe? That was
my favorite saying is, whatever you're looking for is looking for you. Yeah. And it may not come in the form or the shape or the size that you thought it was coming in, but if you're paying attention, you will find something that you need and have to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that statement completely. And I think, we've all had so much extra time on our hands, mm-hmm. to I think hopefully listen to the universe giving us those whispers and those signs and those messages for us to kind of connect with it. I agree. I think that's great advice. Yeah, I think it's great. All right, so let's say it.
I think you just have to take a step.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be the perfect step.
Yeah. Don't wait for perfection. It's all about just progress and jumping in. Right. You know, one of my favorite TED Talks, and it's a great book as well. It's Carol Dweck, I think her name is, and she talks a lot about, you know, fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And so it reminds me of what you're talking about. And some people think that because there's some people who think they have a fixed mindset, they put themselves in a box and they think they cannot change, but you can. You just have to maybe understand what your formula is to kind of move over to taking that first step of growth. It's not always easy, but and it requires some discipline. One of my favorite books, Carolyn, is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. I don't know if you ever read it.
No.
The whole book is about it defines the word resistance and talks about how we resist what we need to do most. And so sometimes, because I think in some elements, we all have a fixed mindset with something, and resistance will hold us back. It's a great book. I usually buy like stacks of them and give them out, but with COVID, I haven't really been giving them out. Yeah. So let's talk about, I want to go back to Brilliant Detroit a little bit. You know, for those people who want to get involved, for those people who want to, you know, help with the raising awareness of it, to educate people that the organization exists. What does somebody do in those two situations?
So in the time before COVID, we used to have what we call friendraisers, and we would get a group of people together, and I would bring them down to one of the houses, and we would, you know, just sit around a table and talk, and then we would walk around and see what was going on in the house that day. And we would talk to the person who's in charge of the house manager. And that would sort of give them, you know, a flavor of what happens in the house every day.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to do that. And so last year's event was a virtual event. I was not excited about putting this on because we've all been to so many virtual events, and mostly they're just sort of lacking. This was actually an incredible event. We had the most amazing MC. She's the, do you know Story Slam from NPR?
No. I mean, I know it, but I don't listen to it that often. Yeah.
So we had the MC from Story Slam, who's amazing. She's just incredible. And then we had 3 participants who told their story. And then we had a spoken word artist, and it was by far our best event.
It's cool.
It's too bad it wasn't live, but it was incredible. So, you know, right now we're doing, by the way, we're continuing our work virtual with all of our families.
Good.
So we have, you know, over 3,000 kids who are doing, 313 Speaks, which is a program that records turn taking between toddlers, babies, really, and mothers. So it's a language development program. So we have 3,000 kids doing that. It's the largest and most successful program. It's a nationwide effort, and Detroit is the largest and most successful program in the country. And so we are doing all of that virtually. So I'm sorry, I forgot your question, but
it doesn't matter because you answered. That actually was going to be my next question. How are you guys doing all of this virtually now that people necessarily really can't get to the homes?
Yeah, so we gave out 250 laptops, which were provided to us by a partner, and a very generous partner. And we made sure that everybody had a digital connection. And we reach out to all of our families every week. And we are doing programming and tutoring, and, you know, all of the classes and programs that they would receive in the house, we're doing them virtually. It's not as easy, obviously, and some people have some digital issues, but we're trying our hardest. And I would say that during COVID, actually, we got even more recognition. We had a lot of national recognition with companies that are sending us diapers, baby formula, we have an organization out of California. It's like the non-charity or the charity of all of the, stars. I forget what it's called, but they have an arrangement with Old Navy. So Old Navy will call them up and say, we have, 18,000 onesies. Yeah. Do you need them? And we are the Detroit partner for this organization.
It's great.
So we've just seriously been getting a lot of recognition and national attention from these partners of ours.
It's great. I love what you're doing. And I just want to highlight a couple of things. 60% of Detroit children under 5 live in poverty. And that is a staggering number. And I'm really grateful for the work that you guys are doing, for the idea that you created and how you've built Brilliant Detroit, and your mission to help 3,000 families and the lineage, the forward moving lineage that you are changing is great. I can't thank you enough. I love talking to action-minded people. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just give one more plug. Something that we really desperately need, especially because of COVID, is we need, I know there's a whole group of retired teachers, and we need to tap into that organization, that group of people who would be interested in helping us tutor our kids during the summer, or holding like some kind of educational / summer camp kind of program. But we do tutoring. I do tutoring with a child twice a week, and we always need tutors.
Yeah,
you don't necessarily have to be a teacher to do that, but
yeah,
it'd be great to have some teachers on there.
I wish I could help you, but I can barely help my kids with their homework. Carolyn. And well, it's great. All right. You ready for a quick speed round?
Sure.
All right. You already gave, a great piece of advice, as far as your quote, whatever you're looking for is looking for you. But what would you say is the best piece of advice on top of that you've ever received?
Stop saying no.
All right. That's a good one. It's a good one. Finish this sentence. One thing that everybody can do to start giving back today is?
Give $5 to an organization that you care about.
Yeah, I love that. Your favorite book and why?
My favorite book is this book it's by Wally Lamb, and it's called Everything. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name. It's a book by Wally Lamb, and it's about these two twin brothers. One is schizophrenic, and the other one is his caretaker. This much I know is true.
Okay. All right, good. That sounds like a good book. My last question to you is the following. Define yourself in one word.
Doer.
I love it. Carolyn, tell everybody how they can connect with you, learn, get in touch with Brilliant Detroit, donate to Brilliant Detroit, anything that, touches their heart that, they can connect.
BrilliantDetroit.org. There's a donate button right on the page. It'll tell you everything you want to know about Brilliant Detroit. And you can also reach me through that organization, or through my email, cbelly27@gmail. And we're always looking for volunteers. We have a ton of volunteer activities. So if you want to get involved, we need you.
Yeah.
Because it crosses over zip codes.
Yeah.
Not just in Detroit that things are happening. So
it's good. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking time. Your dog's barking, my dog's barking. Right. It's like, this is
your
perfect.
Dog sounds this big.
My dog is 7 pounds, but I have 2 of them, but they think they're 30 pounds. Right. I can't thank you enough for taking time to share about Brilliant Detroit. Thanks for everything you do, not only for Brilliant Detroit, but in the community as a whole, your local work, your national work. We didn't really talk about you, the business person, today, but we'll save that for another show.
I called too. We just opened a new one.
Oh, okay. Yes. You can tell everybody.
So we own Como's in Ferndale, and we just opened a new one at Maple and Telegraph, and it's mostly carry out, but there are 30 seats inside, and it's the best Detroit style pizza you'll have.
It really is great. It really is great. Yes. All right. We will talk about the restauranteureness another time, but I really, I wanted to give a platform for Brilliant Detroit. I think it's so great. Thanks for sharing everything. And I'm going to end with your advice of whatever you're looking for is looking for you. Really, for those of you, and I talk to a lot of you and a lot of you email, you're always many people, trying to figure out what to do and what to give back. If you just pay a little bit more attention, it'll just kind of show itself to you. So thanks for everything you do, Carolyn. Thanks everybody for listening. If Carolyn can be of any assistance to you and Brilliant Detroit, please reach out, brilliantdetroit.org. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thank you.